name is Shuntel Fuller. I'm the event manager at the College of Business here at FSU, and I received my MBA in 2017. Welcome to Mentoring Moments. This session will discuss dining etiquette to use in professional settings. Have you ever been invited to a luncheon or a banquet and become immediately overwhelmed by the table setting? Do you sometimes forget which fork to use? Have you ever sipped from the wrong drinking glass? Well, don't worry. This session is going to address all of those questions and more. To give you a brief overview, we're going to discuss the basic banquet place setting. I'm going to give you some tips to remember, and we're going to discuss some do's and don'ts of dining etiquette. So let's get started. Here I'm seated at a basic banquet place setting. Now, you can usually tell how many courses will be served based on the amount of utensils on the table. Now, at a banquet or a luncheon, usually there's a 3-course meal served. So let's get started. First, let's start with the napkin. When you're seated, simply take your napkin and fold it into a triangle. Take the base of the triangle and place it up against your pelvis. It is important that you do this when you are first seated because the napkin in its original position indicates open seats are available at your table. Now, on to the utensils. You'll always find your forks to the left, your knife and spoon will be to your right, and above your charger, you'll have your dessert fork or your dessert spoon, and in some cases, you'll have both. Now, regarding the charger, you'll usually find your first course, your napkin, or your program preset on your charger. The purpose of the charger is to prevent spillage, or to catch spillage rather, and help keep the table clean. All of your courses are served on top of your charger. Now, here's tip number 1. Outside in. You'll always know which utensil to use by working from the outside in. Now, your starter is usually a salad, which means the first fork you will use is your salad fork. It is usually the smaller fork. Now, in some instances, the forks will be the same size. In that case, you'll start outside in. Use the fork that's furthest to the outside. That will be your salad fork. And the fork that's closest to the charger is your dinner fork. Now, your bread plate will always be to the left, and your drinking glasses will always be to your right. Now, to help you remember that, here's tip number 2. Use sign language to create a B and a D. This will help you remember B, bread, left. D, drinks, right. Now, I discourage you from doing this on top of the table, so discreetly do this underneath the table to help you remember which one is yours. Now, hopefully, you'll remember which fork to use and you'll never drink from the wrong drinking glass again. Now, on to some do's and don'ts for dining etiquette. Salt and pepper. They're always served together. And when you pass them, you always pass to the right. It's important that when multiple items are being passed at the same time, that they're all going in the same direction. Next, I want to discuss programs. Sometimes when you're invited to a banquet or a luncheon, there's a program. And on that program, it indicates when dinner is served. It is very important to make sure you know where dinner is being served because that's the appropriate time to have your first course. There are instances where you're invited to a dinner with a business executive, and in those cases, please refrain from ordering the most expensive item on the menu and don't order the least expensive item on the menu. Try to meet somewhere in the middle. Refrain from ordering messy foods, and also refrain from ordering foods where you have to use your hands, like pizza or hamburgers. And it's perfectly okay to ask your host if he or she can offer a recommendation. Regardless if you're in a business dinner or attending a business dinner, a luncheon, or a banquet, you always wait till all of the guests are served before you eat your meal. And when in doubt, always follow the host. There are many more rules to dining etiquette, such as there are several different eating styles to take into consideration, what to do with your napkin when you need to be excused from the dinner table, and what to do with your utensils when you're done eating. Now, if you travel abroad, it's important to remember cultural differences as it pertains to dining etiquette. Thank you for joining this edition of Mentoring Moments. Join us next time to hear tips on professional attire. Thanks again, and as always, go Noles!